Hello, welcome to Reframing Mindset Podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity, practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, welcome back to Reframing Mindset Podcast. My name is Constant Brooks, and this episode we're going to talk about time clock and stuff because I guess that's another important part of um the business and stuff. You have to have a way to actually track the productivity of the employees that you have, and this is one of the weird part of it in the sense because what happens is that the thing about science is it's research, and that's what basically science is research. So if you're actually going to turn into a business, all the typical business rule has to really kind of be um it had to be kind of tweaked for science because what happens is that while most business is profit driven in making money and stuff, people don't realize that. Say, what if you're the business that say, okay, I won, I'm making 100% of the money, and you're getting part of all of the money. And this episode is kind of going to, what I'm saying now, going to relate to a future episode as well. You're making all this money and stuff like that, and you're going big, and what happened, and then boom, you're actually putting everybody out of business, and you're winning. What happened is that you become oversaturated. That's you become oversaturated, or you become engulfed with a lot of this money and don't know what to do with it. Like for example, there are real cases of this in, for example, your time, the big tech companies like for example Facebook or Google or such like that. Where they got successful and then they have a lot of cash piled up. And so what because they have a lot of this cash piled up, the good and bad is so the good is they can spend a lot of money innovating. So when they were just starting, they had to be hoarding, using the little budget that they had to actually scrape to make a good product, so they could make profitability. Now they're successful now, and now they have a lot of this pile cash piled, and that is good. That is good in the sense that you know when you become from small beginnings, when you reach big, you remember those small beginnings when you had had to really save. So that's really why when they become big, they become they hoard cash and stuff like that because when the leader started, he was started from nothing. So when you get big, he had a very conservative. You naturally have a conservative mindset. That's the mindset because you know how hard it was to actually reach that first dollar profitability. Then now you're at this point, you don't want to go back to that point again. And then what happens is that when you become a leader in the industry, uh, you're basically an open target where everybody is actually just coming to actually just try to take you down. So everybody's money is actually spending trying to make to put you out of business. So you're stacking up money to actually do to prevent that while and stuff like that. So that's really you're stacking up a lot of money. But also, what one of the other good thing is that you can do a lot of innovating. That's something that Google does, where basically they are able to they make a lot of products, they lot of new invention and stuff like that, and like Google is an example. It's like a first big example of what this business of science could be, where they innovate, but it's more computer science they do. They're innovating and such like that because they started with a product that works and that is helping them hoard a lot of money. Their profit model works and it's making a lot of money. Then they stockpile a lot of those money now. Then they can use that now to actually go ahead and do further research to advance the career and such like that. So they become, and what that does is they are pushing the business. They are, so basically you have the business side of it, and then you have the research and development. These are typical stuff. So when I mention them, the business people are going to hear me like, oh yes, this is typical and stuff like that. Yes, but as I said, to build what we're building is a dream. We're building a dream. So all these simple concepts, while they are important, they're important basics. So what happens is that why we explain that we have the reality and then we have the dream. So yeah, so the dream have to you have to acknowledge reality before you can actually get the dream. So time clock is one of those important stuff. So back to what I was saying is that yes, so you have so they are able to innovate and such. But the bad thing is when they're hoarding all this money and such, they don't really they're hoarding so much money, they become so successful that they don't know what to do with the money. They don't know, they just basically just and they just become so successful and they just innovating, making a good making a product. It works for a while and then people don't like it and they just throw it away in the back bin and then just start innovating again because what they have the cash to just say, okay, I can just hire some employee to actually do this another project idea, see if it work. If it don't work, they will just throw it away, then use it up. And so that's the situation that they're in now, where boom, they become successful and then because they become so successful, they get all this the successes and then they are suffering somewhat suffering in their success. So that's part. So that's the thing with the time clock. The time clock, it's important for you to actually track. If you're basically paying people, say okay, you're coming there for 8 hours, you're going to be allowed lunch time and such like that and stuff. It's important to actually track the amount that they're paying. Like for example, if you're a small business, you want to track to say, okay, yes, you're paying. I can only I'm paying you 400 and something per hour. What if I basically say, okay, you I have I'm small, I'm in a growing phase now, so I can't just be out here just throwing money like I'm like I'm a banker or something. So I have to actually track your progress so that we can actually be paying you for the work, for productive work. And I see the same thing that happened with my in the startup company where what happened was that they they didn't have a time clock, but I was there. And but what happened is that they were setting standards actually, so that they make sure that they're paying you right. And that's the thing. I say in the business of science, it's a start. It has to start of a startup where you're basically you're basically starting from scratch, so you don't have all the formulas together. So they come there, and then what happened was that when I was there, the HR had some very weird criterias for a web development company. So that was the thing where I said the business of science had to be kind of be done by people that are in the field. Because if you're, for example, the time clock criteria, if you make wrong criteria, you're tracking the wrong thing, and then the essence of the science thing becomes a business. It doesn't become a scientist's dream. It becomes a business, a business of science. So that's the thing where that's the so that's the thing where there are a lot of science business or a lot of companies. Scientists can get hired anywhere, but they're basically you have the dream, the science dream. You have to actually um where you can where, like for example, the science dream, only a select few can actually come in and say, okay, yes, I'm doing my dream job or stuff like that. No, yeah, you have to reach a point where the science dream is accessible for a lot of people, and we'll be like, okay, yes. If the average person can come in and be like, okay, yes, I see see the dream, see the dream, Um, but you have to actually make it accessible. You have to make it accessible. So time clock is one of those things where yeah, it's important. It's important to track the time, but it should not be a constraint. Like in the work I'm doing now, it's a constraint where basically you're going there for 8 hours, clock in your 8 productive hours, and then boom, then you have like breaks and lunch, and you have to actually get tracked and that you get paid or penalized on that. There are companies, big companies that are more lenient on that thing, but if they're more lenient, they are less productive. And what happens is that, for example, there are big businesses that have become successful and hold a lot of cash, so they become more lenient and more I hear so they're like, oh, they're more company friendly. And people come there having a good time and stuff like that, but they're not spending productive hours to advance in the business as fast as it could. So that's one of the things where I'm doing the podcast and stuff like that. You're hearing the ideas now, but nothing is being executed yet. Because what happens is that if we just start and we don't have all these things in place, then we become like that where we just out here trying to get people to be like, oh yes, we're having fun, making this science dream alive, but we're not doing anything to push it forward. We just come in here, have a couple fun, clock in when we want, clock in when we don't want, get a little pay, and then like, oh yes, we're doing science, but no, we're not doing anything. You have to actually. So we have so time clock. So what I realized, time clock is important, but you have to actually put in it in the right way in the sense that it's not a constraint, but it's a guideline to align productivity. That's what I see. So when it starts, how it will be done, we don't know. It's in the time. It's a dream. It's a dream, but that's one of the realities. You have to actually put in the time clock so that yeah, accurately tracking the thing so that we can actually pay people right. So that it actually pays right. That's one of the important thing of the time clock as well. So that we can't be underpaying scientists. No, we're out there trying to get it can't have starving scientists no. So you have to actually be able to pay them well. So that's one of the things and pay them right. So that's one of the things where the time clock is important. They have to actually be paying them have it in pay so that you can pay them well and right. So I say it's an idea now, but yeah, there's more to think about when. So that's basically it for this episode. Thank you for listening and look forward for next episode. Mm.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.
Third week of the 95 experience. We're in July. Now we're in the summertime, and what happens is that a lot of festive stuff, kinda, kinda, at the place where they have these various stuff. So each day they have these stuff that you can wear, and I actually represented one of them. So like one of the days they had Jersey days, and if back in the past I was a athlete and a basketball player. So I decided that I was going to take my talent, take my jersey there and stuff. Because now, as I said, this 9 to 5 time around, I'm taking the time to actually experience the life of being an employee. And so all those corny stuff that I would be like, oh my gosh, this is corny and why the hell would I do it? I actually just try to do it if I can, just to get the